In my previous tutorial, I made this set of Christmas cross earrings, and then I decided to make a pendant to go with it. It's the exact same pattern, except for we're just increasing the sizes of the beads. So in this tutorial, if you've already done the earrings, it'll be very easy for you to do the cross pendant. You won't really even need to watch. You'll just need to see what size beads to use and how to change from an earwire connection to a bail. And that's the only difference. But I decided to go ahead and do it anyway, because some people may want to just watch the cross itself and not the earrings. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's look and see what we need for the material list today. Okay, in this project today, we will be using 6mm bicone crystals. You will need 19 of them. And I am using a Swarovski, and it is Siam. Then we will be using 11O and 8O seed beads. Both of these are Toho, and they are the galvanized permanent finished gold tone, which is called Starlight in the Toho line. Then we will need 8 4mm bicone crystals. This is also a Swarovski, and it is an Emerald AB. Then I will be using Nanofil, 8-pound. You can use 10-pound Nanofil also, or you can use 6 or 8-pound Fireline. Go ahead and thread onto your needle a full wingspan of your thread that you choose to use, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm using a size 10 beading needle. You can also use a size 12 if you would like. Okay, to start this project, you will pick up a 3mm bicone crystal and then 3 8O seed beads, or excuse me, a 6mm bicone crystal and 3 8O seed beads, and then another 6mm bicone crystal and 3 8O seed beads, a 6mm bicone crystal and 3 8O seed beads, and a 6mm bicone crystal, and then 3 more 8Os. Pull this down on my thread. I'll show you what we have. So you want 4 6mm bicone crystals with 3 8O seed beads in between. Start with a crystal, end with your series of 3 8Os. Then you will bring these down to the end of your thread. And you do not have to leave a long tail, you just need enough to tie a knot. So grab the tail and the working thread and tie a little overhand knot between the beads here. Pull them down between the beads and tighten it. And just one little knot. It can still slip at this point, but we don't want a knot to be blocking the beads at all. So sew back through all of the beads once you have your knot established. Then just sew back through all of them on the little circle you just created. Once you get all the way around to where your knot is, sew back through the next set of 3 8Os again and into the next bicone crystal, just to be away from the knot. And then you're coming out of the bicone crystal now. Let's get a little closer. Coming out of this bicone crystal, we're going to go into the first 2 8O seed beads and exit. So just exit the second 8O seed bead and pull. Then you will pick up an 11O seed bead, a 4mm bicone crystal, excuse me, and an 11O seed bead, like so. And you're coming out of this 8O here, you're going to skip over all of these beads and go into the 8O in the middle in the next 3 8O seed beads on the other side of the crystal, and pull this down like so. Then bring your thread forward like into the middle and pick up an 11O seed bead, a 4mm bicone crystal, and an 11/0 seed bead, and then skip over the crystal and all the 8/0s and go into the second 8/0 here and pull. Pull tightly and make sure it's arranged nicely sitting inside the crystals here, the 6mm crystals. Pick up an 11/0, a 4mm bicone, and an 11/0 seed bead, and again skip over this crystal and this 11/0 and this 11/0 and go into the middle 8/0. Excuse me, those are 8/0s, not 11/0s. I seem to want to call beads the wrong sizes today, so if I do so, I don't mean to. Pull this into the center of the piece and tighten it. And then one more time, pick up an 11/0, a 4mm bicone, and an 11/0, like so, and go into the next 8/0 in the middle of the 3 11/0s. This will be the 8/0 you started in. And pull it tightly. And this is what you have. Now we are going to sew back down into the middle here so that we can put one more little tightening edge to this. So what we're going to do, let's get you a little bit closer so you can see. We are going to go through the 8/0 seed bead here, the crystal on top, here, into the 8/0 behind it, and the second 8/0 here, and get back down into the center. We will then go into the 11/0 and the 4mm bicone right next to where our thread is coming out, and we will exit the bicone. We will then pick up an 11/0 seed bead and go into the next bicone crystal. And pull them tightly. And I realized my hand was over that, but I hold on to it to give some tension. Then we're coming out of this 8/0, we're coming out of the 4mm bicone. We're going to go into the next 4mm bicone. Then we will pick up an 11/0 seed bead and go into the next 4mm bicone after that. And pull tightly. And then one more. Pick up a 4mm bicone and go into the next bicone. And create a knot, because why not? There we go. Now just kind of push the little bicones you just made up a little bit. They want to dome just slightly. The centerpiece just slightly domes and raises the 4mm bicones a little bit. Now we're coming out of this middle, or this bicone crystal here. We're going to sew up into the 11/0 right above it. Pull the thread through, and then go into the center 8/0 here, and the 8/0 after it, and exit. And now this is what you should have, a little diamond shape. Go into the top bicone crystal here. Now we're going to cut off this tail because it's driving me crazy. I'm going to cut it down a little. I'm going to protect my working thread by pulling it away, and I'm going to just lightly burn this down. I'm just going to put it close to the flame and let it curl in without blocking my beads. Now we're going to start making the arms of the cross and the top of the cross. First we'll make the top. So we will pick up 3 6mm bicone crystals onto our needle. We're coming out of this 6mm. We're going to go into the opposite side and pull these down like so. Then let me back off just slightly so I stay in frame. Then we're going to sew back through all 3 of these crystals we just put on to secure them. As you come through each one, give it a nice little tug so that it tightens the piece, because we need as much tension as possible or it will just be floppy. Then come back through the bead that you started to attach to. Right there. Then we will sew through these 3 8/0 seed beads here. If you can go through the next crystal also, that's fine too. If not, go through the 8/0s and then come up through your crystal. And again, pick up 3 6mm bicones and go into the opposite side of the crystal you're exiting from. Pull them down and sew around them. And pull it tight. And then we will go into the next 3 8/0s. And into the next bicone, like so. Now we will pick up 3 6mm bicone crystals and do the same thing again. I'm just going to turn it over just so it's easier for me to handle, and sew back through all of them. And then back into the crystal I started in. Turn my piece back over, like so. Now up into the next 3 8/0s. Now you can see that the 8/0s don't lay really nice in a little line, so you may have to go 2 and then 1 or whatever it takes to get through, because as you pull your center piece, it pulls those 8/0s in, so they don't lay perfectly next to each other. And then come up into the top 8/0 or bicone. Beads are just whatever I decide to call them today. They don't have a proper name or shape, I guess, or whatever. Okay, size, I mean. 3 more. Go into the opposite side and pull these down. I'm going to turn it over and sew through all of them. Make sure you get really good tension as you go through, like I said before. And now we're back into the connecting bead. We need to sew up to this bead here because this is going to be the bottom of the cross, so we're going to make 2 units of crystals here. So sew into the bottom one, turn your piece over, and pick up 3 more of your bicone crystals, like so. And then go into the bottom crystal again, like so. Sew around the entire unit to secure it. Maybe, if I can get into that crystal there. This is an interesting
tutorial today. I just don't have it together. Alright, now I'm back in my connecting crystal. I'm going to sew down to the bottom one here, and we're going to start placing 11 seed beads between the crystals to give this cross a little structure, because as you can see, because of the bigger beads, it's floppy. So we need to stiffen it up a little bit. We're going to do that by placing 11 seed beads between the units so that we can get a little bit more tension on the piece. I'm going to pick up an 11 seed bead. I'm coming out of this crystal. I'm going to go into the next crystal and place that 11 seed bead between them and pull tightly, like so. And then I'm going to pick up another 11 seed bead. I'm coming out of this crystal. I'm going to go into this crystal right here. And I'm going to tug that in there tightly. Then an 11 seed bead, a 4mm bicone crystal, and an 11 seed bead on my needle. And I'm coming out of the top of this crystal here. I'm going to go into the side arm bottom portion of this one here. And pull. Make sure that your piece stays nice and neat, but pull it in there tightly. If it kind of curves to one side slightly, that's okay. As we work around, that'll fix. Just make sure that all your beads pop in between the other beads nicely. And then go into the next one with an 11 seed bead. And just continue all the way around, popping 11 seed beads between the crystals. And then when you get to the open space, pick up an 11, a 4mm bicone crystal, and an 11, and go into the next crystal in the bottom of it, and pull. Pull these down, make sure they slide in there nice, and then pick up an 11 seed bead, go into the next crystal, and pull tightly. And again, pick up an 11 seed bead, go into the next crystal. In the open space here, we'll pick up an 11, a 4mm bicone, and an 11, like so. And then we're coming out of this one, we're going to go into the bottom of this crystal. And pop these down. Then again, we'll continue with our 11 seed beads between the crystals. Then 11, 4mm bicone crystal, 11, and we will go into the next bicone here. And pull it down. Now, if you need to get a little bit more space, you can kind of poof up the center of the middle here, if you need to. Then pick up an 11, go into the next crystal, and pull tight. Pick up an 11, and go into the very last slot we have left between the crystals here. And then exit. You can go through that 11 on the other side too. That's fine. Now, what we need to do is we need to stiffen this piece up by sewing around the entire perimeter. It's going to be difficult to do at times because as we go through and pull this tight, it's going to pull the 11 tight against the bottom of the 6 and that can sometimes be difficult to get through. But we need to have a little bit more consistency, a little bit more structure to this so that it's not quite as floppy. It will never be as stiff as the little earrings, but we can get it to hold its form pretty nicely by sewing through it. So we're going to sew around the entire cross. So I'm coming out of this 11, I'm then going to go into the crystals here and up through the next 11, and the next crystal and exit. And then I will sew through this 11-0. Get my needle under there, the bicone, and the next 11-0. You will just continue doing this all the way around the entire piece till you get back to where you started on the bottom of the cross down here. Once we get down there, then we have to sew back up to the top one more time. So basically we're going to be sewing around the entire cross, and then we're going to sew half of it again. So go ahead and sew all the way to the bottom of the cross, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I have sewn all the way around my cross. I am now in the bottom beads again. So I am going to then sew all the way. So I'm coming through here. This is my last bead here. I'm going to sew all the way back up to the top again until I'm to this crystal here so I can make my bail. So go ahead and sew again through this side of the piece, and now it should really be tight if you were pulling and making it tight as you secured last time. So it's even going to be a little bit more of a struggle, but it can be done. So go ahead and sew to the top here, and we'll be back and we'll put the bail on. Okay, so I have sewn all the way back up to the top here, and now I'm just going to go through this top crystal here because I'm coming out of that 11-0 seed bead. I'm going to go through just the top crystal and try to avoid this 11-0 on the other side, which is very tight now, so I have to push it out of my way. There we go. And we're just going to make a round type of bail for this. And you can make this bail as big or small as you would like, depending upon what you're going to put your pendant on. So pick up, let's see how I do that, 4 11-0 seed beads onto your needle, and then an 8-0 seed bead, and drop it down to the piece like this. So 4 11-0s and an 8-0. And then you're going to pick up 7 11-0 seed beads onto your needle. Now, of course, if you want to make it bigger, add more. If you want to make it smaller, you can use 15-0 seed beads, whatever you'd like. So I'm using 7 because that tends to make a decent little circle. And then I'm going to go back into the 8-0 seed bead and just the 8-0 seed bead. So just through here, and then I'm going to pull these down and hold on to my 8-0 while I do that. And then I will pick up 4 more 11-0s onto my needle and go back into my crystal. And like I said, it's not really easy with these tight 11-0s here. Might have been better to make the bail first, but that's okay. It still works. And this is the bail. We need to sew up through that one more time just to make sure that it is nice and secure, because it's going to hold your piece on. So just come up through all the beads on one side and then go through 3 here of the 11-0s above the 8-0 seed bead that's holding the circle together, then go through 1. That kind of helps keep the shape that you want. And then go down through 3 more and the 8-0 and pull through like so. And then go through all 4 of these on this side. And then try to get through that darn crystal again. And once you get through it, you can go through the 11-0 too, so that makes it a little easier on that last slide through. And that's what your bail looks like. Then you're going to go down into the next crystal if possible. Got everything so tight. We're going to sew down into the middle here and tie a knot, just because it's going to be easier than sewing around that perimeter again. So we're going to go into this middle bicone here we're going to grab a knot between these two bicones. There's a little thread bridge there, and I'm going to grab it and tie a little knot on it. Of course, do that a little bit more graceful than I just did it, but you know. And then I'm going to go through these 3/8 here on the inside. Got everything so tight. Okay, now I'm going to cut my thread off because I'm just mangling my piece trying to get through it more. I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to burn it down. Just get the flame close, don't light it on fire, and just curl that little piece, and then you can just tuck it in. Now, this center piece you can poof up. Let's see, let's poof it this way. A little bit. Straighten everything out. And
like I said, this doesn't have the consistency of the earrings, but now you can see it's a lot stiffer, and it's going to hold its shape, and it's going to wear just fine. You can always place something round. I'm just going to use the tip of my scissor here. Just place something in your bail and stretch it open like this. Poof your center up, or leave it down, doesn't really matter, it doesn't really poof that much anyway. And there's that one. There's the one I made previously. And here are the earrings that I made earlier. And poof that one up. Poof up you. And that is that. I think it turned out pretty. And these are just a real easy, simple cross to do. It's not meant to be a very difficult, advanced project. It's meant to be something simple and easy. You can use these for Christmas tree ornaments if you want to. You can use them for a little tiny tree. You can make little earrings as ornaments, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. It's just a quick, simple Christmas project that I thought you guys might enjoy. See ya. Bye-bye.